All right, question 20, last question. All right, x is a real number and f is a function. Given that exactly one of the following statements is true, which one is it? Okay, a classic, right? You assume one statement is true and you check if the other ones are false, right? If all the other ones are false, then great, that's the answer. Okay, so let's start from the first one then. Assume that A is true. Good, assume that A is true. Okay, so then let's look at B. Is B true? Well, A and B are actually contrapositives, right? So how do we find contrapositives? We do this only if fx less than 0, right? So when you find a contrapositive, you invert everything, okay? So x less than 0, and then the only if becomes an if, and then this is fx greater or equal to 0, which is exactly option B, right? Just take the complements of every single item, yeah? And that will be the contrapositive, yeah? Don't mix up the contrapositive and the converse. Okay, so if A is true, B is definitely true, because contrapositives, right? So A is not the answer. A is not the answer then. Good. Okay, let's assume B is true then. Well, if I assume B is true, then A would be true, right? Because as I said, it's a contrapositive pair, right? So A and B, not the answer. Okay. So using the same logic, you can probably see there's also another contrapositive pair here. Which one is it? It'll be D and E, right? They're opposites of each other. Good. Okay, so I'm left with C and F, right? Okay, so F is a longer statement, so I might be able to find substatements of F within A, B, C, D, E, right? That will be easier. So let's do that. So F is saying, okay, fx greater or equal to 0 if and only if, so this symbol, two-way arrow, x less than 0. Okay, so let's check, for example, let's check from A. X greater or equal to 0 only if fx less than 0. Okay, it has nothing to do with these conditions of option F, right? So A is irrelevant. How about B? X less than 0 if fx greater or equal to 0. So let's write that down as using arrows. So option B is saying if fx greater than or equal to 0, then x is less than 0, which is exactly a substatement of F, right? Because F is saying if and only if, right? B is just saying if, so B is a substatement of F, right? So if F is true, B is definitely true. Okay, so therefore F is not the answer either. All right, so finally, answer would be C. We're left with that. Okay, so hopefully we know the direction of arrows for if and only ifs, yeah? So when it's if, the arrow goes to the left, right? If it's only if, the arrow goes to the right. Yeah, so that's why if and only if, two-way arrows. Okay, hopefully that makes sense.